I now call this regular meeting of the Board of Education to order at 7:15 p.m. The coordinator, please call the roll.
Ms. Pearson?
Present.
Mr. Rollins? Ms. Mohammed?
Here.
Mrs. McCulloch? Mr. Siegel?
Here.
Mr. Connor?
Here.
Ms. Stanford?
Here.
With 5 present, 2 absent, we have a quorum.
We'll now take a moment of silence followed by the Pledge of Allegiance. As we start each board meeting, it bears reminding that the mission of Rockford Public Schools is to collaboratively engage all students in a first-class education for a changing world. Before we go any further, thank you to Connor Childers, who's working behind the scenes to produce the board's broadcast via Zoom, YouTube live stream, and Comcast Channel 20. We will now recognize and celebrate outstanding contributions of our students and staff. Mr. Siegel.
Thank you. And I'm really excited to see so many people here tonight. Doing the recognitions is one of the coolest things that we do, and we've got some really great ones tonight. So starting off with the IHSA state qualifiers in boys tennis. Rockford Public Schools sent 8 student athletes to compete at the IHSA Boys State Tournament in June, after Auburn High School's boys tennis team won the IHSA sectional tournament by 2 points over Hononegah High School, with Guilford High School taking third. We're going to start with Guilford High School. They sent 3 players to the IHSA State Tennis Tournament. Joe Gesmer finished third in singles play at the IHSA sectionals tournament. And the doubles team of Jeff Snedegar and Drew Stottleman finished third in sectionals to qualify for the state meet. In doubles play, Jeff Snedegar and Drew Stottleman defeated their first opponents from Orland Park Sandburg, but were ultimately defeated in the second round, followed by a second round loss in the consolation bracket. Now on to Auburn. Auburn sent 2 doubles teams to the IHSA State Tennis Tournament. Drew Lakari and Sharan Kumar Kamaraj, and Isaac Bernson and Drew Ramaswamy. Nick 10 singles champion Chris Park also advanced to the state tournament in singles play. Auburn's doubles team of Drew Lakari and Sharan Kumar Kamaraj competed 4 times, winning in the first round before losing their second round match and competing in the consolation bracket. Ultimately, the Knights lost in the third round of the consolation bracket and won twice and lost twice in the state tournament. Congratulations to these tennis players who didn't get to compete at all last year because of the ongoing pandemic. Now on to the IHSA State Track Meet girls qualifiers. Guilford High School sent several runners to compete in the IHSA Class 3A State Track Meet. Guilford's Kariana Curtis, Ayana Gray, Rhea Chapman, and Jolena Sight won the 4x100 meter relay at the Antioch sectionals to qualify for state. Kariana Curtis, Ayana Gray, and Jolena Sight then joined Anastasia Bruce to win the 4x200 relay with a time of 1:47.45. That's fast. Kariana Curtis, Ayana Gray then ran with Michaela Durkin and Audrey Ryan to take second in the 4x400 meter relay for another Guilford State qualifying team. Guilford's Atiq Mohammed took first at the sectional meet in the long jump, also to qualify for state. At the IHSA Boys State meet, Guilford's Atiq Mohammed and East Macarius Luster each brought back 6th place medals. The first medals won by RPS athletes since 2017. Guilford's Muhammad finished 6th in the long jump with a leap of 6.76 meters. East Luster finished 6th in the 400 meters with a personal best time of 49.89. Congratulations on this outstanding accomplishment. While they didn't medal, it's worth noting that East sprinter Marquez Gray was 10th in the 100 meters and 11th in the 200. East's Hunter Scanlon finished 11th in the discus with a throw of 45.27 meters. Congratulations to these student athletes. Congratulations also to their coaches, their parents, their families, their supporters. This is a really big deal and especially celebration worthy in light of the year that we have had. Congratulations, everybody. Thank you, Ms. Stanford.
Okay, we are now at the petitions and communications portion of our meeting when we invite the public to make comments. The First Amendment of the United States Constitution guarantees the right of citizens to petition their government, as well as provides for freedom of speech. Also, the Illinois School Code requires that there be a time at regular and special meetings for public comment. Thus, we are following those mandates during this petitions and communications portion of our agenda. According to Board Policy 2.230, the public comments portion of the meeting is limited to a total of 30 minutes. The board will not respond to comments at this time. If it is appropriate, you will be contacted in a timely manner by staff in response to your questions. In order to allow sufficient time for the business of the board and to conduct our meetings in an efficient and effective manner, we are requesting that you comply with the guidelines that are posted, and each speaker will be allowed no more than 2 minutes to address the board. It is not appropriate to address individual board members or individual administrators or discuss matters that would otherwise be confidential in such open meetings. 2 names will be called at one time, the one whose turn it is to speak and the person who will speak next. When you are the second person, please come to the front and sit in a vacant chair. That way we'll be able to devote the maximum amount of time to public comments. If you look onto your left, you'll see 2 digital clocks. One shows the total time allotted to public comments, and one shows the total time for each speaker. We thank you for your interest and your cooperation with our guidelines. Our first speaker will be Michael O'Toole, and our second speaker will be Kim Shimmons. Go ahead.
It's not turned on. Good evening, ladies and gentlemen of the Rockford Public School Board. My name is Michael O'Toole. I'm currently a resident of the Public School Board District. I'm also a graduate of High School District 211, one of the 2 largest public school districts in the state outside of the city of Chicago. I also have a bachelor's degree in business administration, Western Illinois University, extensive experience in both the public and private sector and quality control, customer service, as well as some years for various employers and management. Tonight, in regards to the 2 topics of critical race theory, it's a theory. Theories are based on primarily opinions rather than mostly facts. I would hope that with the school board's mission statement, that if it allows critical race theory to be part of its curriculum taught in the school system, that it will allow the opinions of both sides or all sides concerning that critical race theory in order for students to learn how to gain experience in learning how to think critically rather than being told what to think. Also, the other thing in regards to any decisions made for students to be required to wear face masks, the World Health Organization's website, the Center for Disease Control's website, stated that the COVID-19 virus is simply another strain of pneumonia viruses. So I would hope that the school board district treats this strain of pneumonia viruses the way it has treated previous strains of pneumonia viruses. Also, in regards to social distancing, neither the World Health Organization's website nor the Center for Disease Control were on the same page, as the World Health Organization had recommended only 3 feet social distancing, while the Center for Disease Control had recommended 6 foot social distancing. I believe that the public school education I had received, School District 211, was an excellent one by the educators in each of the classes that I received, because they taught me how to think critically.
Your time is up, sir.
Thank you.
Thank you. Next, we'll have Kim Shimmons, followed by Eric Serwin. Go ahead.
Every year, I am lucky enough to get a whole new group of kids to bond with. I've been in this district for over 20 years, so that's a lot of kids I've worked with. Nothing is better for a teacher when they see the kid get it. Every year I promise my kids it'll take work, but they will get that long division. When they do accomplish that, happiness is on both sides. I love seeing them achieve what they thought they would never get. Every once in a while, I'm lucky enough to remain in contact with former students. I was blessed a couple of years ago to have a former student contact me so that she could do a week-long teacher shadowing. She was considering becoming a teacher. After working with my class and seeing what it's really like, she announced she wants to be a 4th grade teacher. My heart swelled when she told me that this was her goal. I also had a student who invited me to his graduation party as he proudly received his master's from Howard University. He is now moving forward to get his doctorate. He couldn't wait to introduce me to his wife as his favorite teacher ever. I consider myself lucky to work with today's kids. This district has a lot of remarkable students and a lot of remarkable education specialists. I hope to keep inspiring next year's group of 4th graders and once again inform them that, yes, long division is doable. This is why I am proud to be an RPS teacher and an REA member. Thank you.
Okay, we'll have Eric Sherwin, followed by Matt Hotop.
Hello, my name is Eric Serwin, and I'm a proud REA member. I've just finished my 16th year of teaching, 9th at Guilford, and I just want to express how amazing my colleagues are as experts in education. I've seen teachers take challenging students under their wings, nurture them into maturity, and applaud them as they walk across the stage at graduation. I've seen teachers devote 80+ hours a week to support clubs and activities that keep students learning and motivated even during COVID. I've seen teachers give up their planning periods to host Zoom social hours for students to have time to connect with peers. I've seen teachers grading work turned in 3 months late just to give students one more chance to demonstrate their learning. I watched as teachers invented new teaching methods, new lesson plans, new classroom structures just to reach a few more students, and teach the same subject 10 different ways just to reach a single student. I've seen teachers drenched in sweat, mask on, teaching in classrooms over 100 degrees to students both in the classroom and online at the same time. I've seen teachers welcome and mentor new teachers through their incredibly challenging first years. I've seen teachers build entire extracurricular programs just because students wanted an opportunity that didn't exist. I've seen teachers adapt their curriculum and instruction year by year, month by month, week by week, and even day by day to keep up with the demands of teaching in RPS 205. I've worked in retail, social services. I've worked for corporations and for mom and pop shops. I've also supported my wife as she started her own business. And each of those things has their own unique challenges, but I've never worked a job that is more challenging and demanding than teaching, especially in RPS 205. I've taught in 3 other districts, and this one is special. The magic that happens in RPS classrooms is nothing short of amazing, and those who are in the buildings to witness that magic know what it takes to make it happen. It takes a total devotion to the students and an uncommon grit to withstand the onslaught of demands. And we show up every day and meet those demands with excellence and
up,
grace.
Sir.
I'm proud to be a Rockford teacher.
Thank you. We'll now have Matt Hotop, followed by Todd Wilson.
Good evening. I recently went to Costco and I ran into 2 former Jefferson students who are working there currently. The first student I had about 6 years ago, he walked over to me, gave me a big smile, gave me a bear hug, and said, "Hola, profesor." I was shocked that he was able to speak Spanish to me after all that time. He then switched to English to be more comfortable, told me about his recent birthday celebration, his upcoming promotion at Costco. The second student was never actually my student. She would come in during her lunch just to hang out with me. She's a heritage Spanish speaker, and so she appreciated that she and I were able to have conversations both in Spanish or English, depending on her preference for the day. She had a huge smile on her face. She told me all about her future plans, moving to Texas. Oh well. She asked how my family was doing and even remembered my oldest son's name. Again, I was shocked. The reason I teach is to make a positive impact on the lives of my students. To quote an email I got recently from a student this past year, he said, "You made my freshman year better." I'm proud to be an RPS teacher and an REA member. Thank you.
We'll have Todd Wilson, followed by Stephanie Valderrama.
Good evening. My name is Todd Wilson, and I'm a bilingual teacher at Whitehead. As I reflect on the craziest, scariest year of teaching I've ever experienced, I can't help but come away with a feeling of pride. Pride in my school for weathering not only the COVID storm, but also the loss of our gym teacher in the first week of school. Watching my colleagues adapt to teaching through a pandemic via in-person and virtual learning has been inspiring to watch. The grace with which our administrators handled every curveball thrown at us reminds me that I'm at the school where I'm supposed to be. I also feel pride in myself for delivering the best education possible despite having a revolving door of quarantines and COVID procedures. I take pride in learning several new e-learning platforms on the fly. In many ways, this has been my most creative year of teaching. Whether it was geometry with sidewalk chalk or playing chess on the playground during Win Wednesdays, we found creative ways to get outside of every possible opportunity. But mostly, I have an intense pride in my students' progress throughout an academic year unlike any other. They handled the inconvenience of wearing masks with a grace that many adults in our community would do well to emulate. The smiles on their faces upon seeing their classmates again after a month-long quarantine was a moment I will never forget. And despite all the adversity, their test scores by and large continued to improve. For all of these reasons, I am proud to be an RPS teacher and a member of the REA. Thank you.
We'll have Stephanie Valderrama, followed by Stephen Brooks.
Hello, board members. Thank you so much for listening to me tonight. I want to speak in support of teachers in RPS, and I wasn't sure what to say, so I'm going to share another story about a student. As you've heard from several teachers already tonight, I have so many stories, but this is just a recent one. I got reached out to through Facebook Messenger by a former student, and she sent me this picture of a Post-it note. And I didn't even recognize the handwriting, but it was mine. And it was just a kind word to her, hey, if you need to talk sometime. And she said, I was having a really bad day in your Spanish class one day, and you left me this note on my desk, and I kept it all this time. And that was 14 years ago that she kept this Post-it note. And she just recently graduated. She's an RN, and she's going to be working at a former school that I worked at as a school nurse. And so my point here is just the impact that we have every day. We don't always know. We're lucky if we hear back from a student 14 years later, but it is there every single day. And, you know, she did not go on to love Spanish. That wasn't her favorite thing ever, and that was okay. She did say hola to me. I don't know why I love Spanish, but she's a nurse. And so I like to think that maybe she learned a little something about empathy that day and kindness, and she will carry that forward in her profession. And every single teacher that I work with in this district is having an impact on students. And I would say the majority is a positive impact on students. And I'm so proud of us. I'm so proud to work for RPS 205, and I'm so proud to be a union member. And we're in short supply coming up. So what we do is priceless. I just want to point that out, that it's valuable. And again, thank you for taking the time to hear me on this and everyone else. And that's it.
Next is Stephen Brooks, followed by Sean Bladell.
Good evening. My name is Stephen Brooks, and I would like to share with you why I am so proud to be an RPS 205 teacher. I am privileged to work at Roosevelt Community Education Center with amazing staff and students. Everyone should know that RPS 205 has done something incredible here. I'm proud to be a teacher in a district that works so hard to keep the doors of education open to all of our youth. RPS 205 has invested in providing support for young mothers and fathers, individualizing education for students who are not thriving in a traditional setting, and creating opportunities for students under disciplinary action. This district cares about not letting students fall through the cracks, and I couldn't be happier to be part of that effort. These past 2 years of ransomware and pandemic have thrown significant challenges at all of us, but I've been inspired by the incredible work of RPS 205 staff, both in my building and beyond, to overcome these challenges. Thank you, board members, Rockford Education Association, clerical staff, human resources, IT, building administration, nurses, and so many others for furthering our shared educational mission. Again, I am so proud and thankful to be a teacher in this district because as a teacher for RPS 205, I feel like I am part of a positive force in the Rockford community. Thank you so much.
Thank you. Sean Bladell will be followed by Heather Bladell.
Evening, everyone. Thanks for allowing me to speak tonight. I'm speaking on the mask mandate. As a physician in this community and as a parent of 3 children in this school district, I feel very strongly against the mask mandate. It's no secret when it comes to the science. If you look at the Journal of the American Medical Association, talking about the fact that there is very minimal opportunity for a mask, such as an N95 or an actual surgical mask, to block any type of virus. If you look at the size of a typical viral strain from SARS or even from influenza, the typical size is about 0.1 microns. And without being too nerdy, which I tend to do, if you look at the size of a typical mask spore, you're looking at something that's 200 to 1,000 times greater than that. So the idea that we're going to catch or somehow slow down or prevent the spread of this type of virus by wearing some type of cloth or a mask over our face is like trying to catch sand with a chain link fence. There have been hundreds of mask studies. If you look at even things like the National Institute of Health, talking about the fact that not only does masks not help slow down the spread of these types of viruses, even things like influenza, but what it does capture is actually bacterial spores. And if you look at the size of a bacterial spore compared to a virus, you're talking about something that is 50 times larger. What does that mean for you? When you wear a mask, you are not slowing down the spread of a virus, but you're actually blocking the bacteria from getting out of your body, which is actually going to increase your risk of infection. Things like pneumonia and bronchitis, even dental cavities in children. These are huge risks that you guys need to consider when it comes to wearing masks. And again, as a parent, I just want to stress the fact that you guys are going to be making a decision about something I care very, very deeply about, which is the health of my children and their future. And I take that very seriously, and I pray that you guys do as well. Thank you very much.
Heather Bladell will be followed by Brandy Richardson.
Thank you. My name is Heather Bladell. My husband, Dr. Sean, and I own a healthcare clinic here in Rockford that specializes in wellness and the immune system. We have 3 children who attend RPS, and I am here on their behalf. It is time that you end the mask mandate requirement tonight. Social, emotional, and physical health seem to be the forefront, but if that is truly the case, you will do the right thing, make masking our children optional, and up to the parents. Every adult in the state of Illinois has the availability of 3 free vaccines, and each of us knows that children are rarely affected by this virus. Additionally, they are not the key to spread. In fact, only 14% of all COVID cases in the United States were in children ages 1 through 18. Of all the deaths, children accounted for a minuscule amount, 0.00% to 0.25%, of which had severe underlying conditions. This has been updated on the CDC website as of July 8th of this year. In the words of Dr. Atlas, what civilized nation sacrifices their children? By masking our children, covering their nose and mouth, their very breathing, you are essentially sacrificing our children. This is child abuse and has been looked at as acceptable for far too long. In any other day and time, parents or school officials would be turned into DCFS and investigated for muzzling children every day for multiple hours. It would be considered rare and unusual punishment, but no, not today, not in the school systems of Illinois. As parents, we hold the responsibility of our children. It's up to us to make decisions when it comes to their health and their well-being. It's not IDPH, ISB, or RPS for that matter, to determine what is appropriate for my child. By ignoring this request, you're sacrificing the children and are an accessory to child abuse. This has to stop. Defend our children.
Thank you. Brandy Richardson will be followed by Greg Taylor.
Hi, my name is Brandy Richardson. Thank you for letting me talk today. I'm also talking about the mask mandate and asking that you would lift that for starting our school year off. The protection that cloth mask gives against a virus that is 1/1000th the size of our hair is little to none, yet the psychological damage and fear that the wearing of masks throughout the school day has and will have on our children is insurmountable, and the good news, completely avoidable. I believe that the board members before me are advocates for the all-around well-being of our children. That's why you're here. And the Illinois State Board of Education has put it in the hands of local districts to choose what mitigations to enforce based on local conditions. Most of our children have been spending the summer playing with friends, going to amusement parks. Back on the way here tonight, we passed the Mississippi food truck event, and there was hundreds of people, and I hope that we can go back there after this. People eating together, smiling, enjoying each other, and that's been the way Rockford has been all summer. It's been wonderful to see smiling faces again in the community, especially children. Please don't take that joy and freedom from them in exchange for unnecessary fear that they don't need to carry. Many local private schools, nearby states, and many school districts in Illinois are not enforcing mask mandates, and I ask that you help Rockford School District stand up in our area and lead the way for personal choice among our diverse community. I implore each and every one of you to be courageous, to stand up for what's right, and not be afraid of the backlash or the what-ifs, but the beginning of the school year with a fresh slate and, on a positive note, welcoming back students with open arms and enjoying their smiling faces. I know that you miss seeing their faces and their genuine smiling laughs, and so let's start off our school year that way. Thank you.
Greg Taylor will be followed by Rachel Swanson.
Good evening, board members. I'm here in response to getting the track at Guilford High School, which is now the Swanson Stadium, getting that named in memorial for Lee Marks, who was a coach at Guilford High School for 47 years. He's been in the Rockford community for 69 years. He had 36 years of teaching, with 1 year being at Lincoln Park School. The other 35 years were at Guilford High School. He's been a track coach and a football coach for 47 years there. And he has touched so many young men in this community, young men and women, with his coaching and abilities. And we would like to try and get that stadium named, the track named after Coach Lee Marks. This is no spite or slack on the Swanson family. It's just to share that field or that track with the name of Lee Marks. I think this is the least that we can do for a man who's given so much to the community and so much to all the young men and women in Rockford. Thank you.
Rachel Swanson will be followed by Jim McElroy.
Hello. I currently have 2 kids here at Rockford Public Schools. Last fall, when many other districts were insisting on remote only, you all stuck out your necks and went ahead with an in-person option for school. I applaud you for that. Now I'm here to urge you to once again make a bold move and make masks optional for all students. Parents are the ones who should be making these choices for their children. I know you've gotten guidance from the state, but that's all it is, guidance. You answer to us, the parents. We chose you to represent us. Even if we disagree on mask effectiveness, it's obvious that they hide our children's beautiful faces, muffle their voices, hinder their breathing, and stifle their communication. Some would say, if you don't want your child in a mask, just get them vaccinated. That's not an acceptable answer. Children have a 1 in 500,000 chance of dying of COVID. With those odds, is it worth the risk of a largely untested shot that is still not fully FDA approved? You must acknowledge that there are risks to the vaccine to be carefully weighed against the benefits. Essentially forcing the vaccine by restricting only unvaccinated kids is flat out discrimination. And if things go wrong and a child vaccinated because of your rules ends up with a lifetime of side effects or worse, that's on you. We parents deserve the right to make our own decisions for our kids. A growing number of Illinois districts have already made the choice to make masks optional for all students. I can provide you a list by email. These districts acknowledge that parents are the ones to make these important choices for their kids without coercion. People here and across the country, kids included, have been going mask-free in large groups inside and out. It's obvious kids are not getting severely ill from these interactions. It's time to make masks optional. Do the right thing. Let parents decide if their student should wear a mask.
Jim McElroy will be followed by Chris McGee.
All right. Thank you very much for a couple minutes here. I have a hard time getting anything into 2 minutes, but I'll do my best here. I think, as you've heard from a lot of people in regards to the mask and the freedom of choice, I think as you look in this room, there's about 100 people in here, and less than 10% came in with masks. So when given the choice, I think that predominantly we're going to have people that are going to choose not to wear a mask. And I know that this is an adult setting, and we have a little bit of spacing and everything, but we are indoors. And I think that when given the opportunity, most people will opt to not wear it for their own health and well-being. I think we need to protect people who choose to wear it, and I think we need to give the right to people who choose not to wear it. I think that's extremely important. One thing that I really think about is I know you guys are challenged. I know that sometimes people think or say the school board can't make the decision, but based on a lot of things that have happened in the last couple of days from the CDC and the WHO and even from Pritzker's office, I believe you guys can make the decision. And when you think about what we do as parents, you guys, I'm sure most are parents, and what you do as parents, I'm sure, I'm going to guess, I'm going to speculate that a lot of your kids are having fun with other friends, that they're going to parties, that they're going to outdoor activities, they're going to indoor activities, they're swimming, they're playing ball, they're going to the amusement parks, they're playing baseball with other kids, they're getting on in the car with other kids, they're doing sleepovers with other kids. I'm going to guess that we're not asking every one of them to wear masks all the time. So I think we need to think about the theater of that and think about, as leaders here, you guys do have a great ability to make an impact, and I know all the teachers here, you guys do too, and get to ripple on all these kids, and that's fantastic. I think this is an area where we got to protect kids. There's a lot of kids that are afraid to communicate already, and when you do this, it's a little bit harder for them to communicate and feel comfortable with having a relationship with a teacher. I think it's really important. And the last thing I'm going to say real quick, Oswego, about 70 miles south of here, has just made it so that they are not mandating. This school district of Oswego, which is the 7th largest in the Illinois district. I think you guys have a powerful option to lead and be courageous and set the tone, because as Rockford goes, a lot of the other city will go.
Chris McGee will be followed by Karen Marks.
Hi, I serve as the College and Career Academy coach at Guilford High School. Due to the national teacher shortage, we were short 3 science teachers this past school year. So I was asked to take on teaching a section of chemistry in addition to my other duties. I loved stepping back into the classroom. I am so proud of all of my science colleagues who took on the additional work of teaching added classes so every student at Guilford could receive a high-quality science education. I'm proud of my chemistry PLC for working together to find ways to still do chemistry labs while teaching virtual and in-person students at the same time. I'm proud of myself for continuing to learn new technology to improve learning, even when my brain was so overloaded by all the multitasking and chaos of pandemic teaching. But most of all, I'm proud of my students for never giving up. They came to my class willing to learn. Each and every day this past year, my kids, and to be truthful, myself, struggled with just getting motivated to do school. The moment I will never forget happened on one of my hardest days. Luis, a frequently absent virtual student who switched to in-person learning, said to me, "Ms. McGee, I'm here today because of you." Every day across our whole district, kids come to school because of their teachers. I am proud to be an RPS teacher and very proud to be an REA member.
Karen Marks will be followed by Anthony Wilson.
Good evening. I'm Karen Marks. I'm the widow of Lee Marks. I am the face of the petition that had started back in January or sometime like that, and has received over 1,800 signatures and comments. I understand that tonight the petition and proposal will be presented to the board, and I just want to let you all know that it's been quite a pleasure to be a part of the Guilford High School program, quite actually since I got married in 1967, and I was that coach's wife. Greg Taylor, that spoke earlier, said my speech, so I'm here winging it. Therefore, being that classroom teacher that I was for those number of years, 30 some odd, I can handle this. One of the things I do want to do is to make sure that if I turn around and look, there should be some of Lee's children. My middle daughter is here. My youngest is watching it on TV in Chicago. Our oldest is deceased, but they were all graduated from Guilford. I have 4 grandchildren that graduated from Guilford, and I think I have family members and people here to support this idea of getting that track named the Lee Marks Memorial Track. So where are my supporters? Please stand or wave your hand. That's right. All right. And it was a real pleasure to hear how Guilford has athletes that are still burning up that track. On your marks, get set, go.
There you go. And Anthony Wilson is our last speaker.
All right, well, I'm here to ditto everybody's comments. So my comments are a little different because I'm also a product of Rockford Public Schools, but I'm the head track coach at Rockford East High School, so it's probably kind of strange for ERAB to be petitioning something for a Guilford Viking. But we're talking about an extraordinary man, Lee Marks, who was also a product of the Rockford Public Schools, graduating from West in 1962. Lee, Coach Marks knew me before I knew myself. He and my dad were great friends. So one of my stories that I can tell you about Coach Marks, when I got into coaching 2014, he took it upon himself to mentor me in some of the finer aspects of coaching. But the things he taught me wasn't about the X's and O's and how to get kids prepared for a track meet. One of the things that he told me to make sure that I do, if nothing else, make sure that our kids know that there's more to life than just track and field. They have to get an education, as education is their passport, their education is their passport to do the things that they need to do in the future. So as an ERAB, I also stand in conjunction and support with this family of naming the track the Lee Marks Memorial Track.
Thank you to all the speakers. We are now on to board member comments. Are there any board member comments? Mr. Siegel.
Thank you, and not to extend an already lengthening meeting, but I was very excited when I saw the Lee Marks item show up on the agenda. I was aware of track and field in this area even before I moved to Rockford almost 30 years ago because I had family who competed here. And over the years, I heard numerous stories of Mr. Marks, and I was really thrilled to see this come up on the agenda and read the item with a lot of enthusiasm. Obviously, I'm going to vote for it and think that this is a great thing for the community and for the whole community. also want to make just a quick comment. A year ago, we were sitting in this room trying to figure out what we were going to do with the upcoming school year. There was a lot of, I don't know, going on, and I felt like every intelligent conversation I had about how the school year was going to go included the statement, I don't know. We learned a lot over the last year. I had numerous conversations with teachers, some of whom are in this room tonight, and took the time to get up and speak and share their stories. They shared with me their classroom setups. They shared with me the amount of work that they have to do. They shared with me their anxiety about showing up to a job every day where they didn't know just exactly what some of these externals were how they're going to affect them. A year on, we do know a lot more. We are probably going to have a school year that's going to look very different than last year. I hope to the relief of everybody in this room, because it would be really easy to divide this room into two and very clearly say, we've got pretty even numbers on both sides of an issue. I hope that what we can continue tonight, and as we approach the beginning of this school year, which is still 45 days away, which is a long time, and lots of things can change in that kind of time, that we can continue to move forward with a bit of grace and a little bit of understanding that insofar as board members can make a decision on this particular issue, maybe you could see the difficulty in making a decision that's going to make everybody happy. With roughly 100 people in the room and looking out, again, be pretty easy to say who's going to be on each side of the issue. Just understand that there's still a lot we don't know, but we are going to make our best effort to educate our students in the best fashion that we can. And I would just appreciate whatever grace you can muster. Thank you.
Ms. Pearson? Thank you. I just want to say I am so appreciative of the legacy of Mr. Lee Marks. I can remember growing up, and I will forever be grateful for the teachers that actually lived in the same neighborhood that I lived in. And the Marks family lived down the street and around the corner. And just the love that they showed children that they didn't teach directly, and the impact that they made on the lives of many of the children in our community is so very appreciative. And I want Mrs. Marks to know that your labor is not in vain, and yet the legacy of the Marks will continue. Thank you.
No other comments? Okay, the next item on the agenda is the superintendent's report. Dr. Jarrett.
I do not have a report this evening.
Oh. Okay, we're now on to the consent portion of our meeting, which includes items previewed by the board committee chairs during the committee of the whole meeting. Our consent items include, from the Performance Monitoring Committee, payroll, accounts payable, purchase orders for fiscal year 21, purchase orders for fiscal year 22, construction pay request log, RPS managed work change order logs, RFP 2203 customer performance uniforms, IFB 2205 Marsh School Playground grading rebid, resolution authorizing fiscal year 22 depositories, investment managers, dealers, and brokers, recurring contract with Schoolworks for charter-related services, recurring contracts for Screencastify, consolidated contracts, school-based spending, intergovernmental agreement, linking talent with opportunity, intergovernmental agreement, senior semester with RBC, TCI High School Economics Resource, Tier 1 Renaissance, and the consent agenda items under the Planning and Development Committee, Tier 1 Panorama. The consent items from the Governance Committee, the meeting minutes of 6/22/21, contract purchase orders for fiscal year 21, contract purchase orders for fiscal year 22, the Lee Marks Memorial Track naming, hiring incentive for recruitment of bus drivers, taxable fringe benefit, workers' compensation settlement agreement for TJ, workers' compensation settlement agreement CG, and the Freedom of Information log. Is there a motion and second to approve the consent items?
So moved.
Second.
Are there any consent items that board members wish to have pulled for separate consideration? Ms. Mohammed.
6M.
6M. The linking talent with opportunity. Is that the only one?
Yes.
Please call the roll on the approval of consent items not pulled.
Ms. Pearson, Ms. Pearson,
Yes.
Ms. Mohammed,
Yes.
Mr. Siegel,
Yes.
Mr. Connor,
Yes.
Ms. Stanford.
Yes.
The motion passes with 5 yeses, 2 absent.
Can I have a motion and a second to approve consent item 6M, the intergovernmental agreement linking talent with opportunity?
So moved.
Second.
Is there any discussion? Ms. Mohammed.
Yeah, I just had some clarification questions regarding that. Hello. So from the synopsis here regarding this item here, looks like this is super beneficial in terms of adding more opportunities so students can do dual credit classes, correct?
Yes.
And so I just wanted to make sure I was understanding it correctly. Is this going to allow students to be able to do this free, or is this just a reduced cost, like a discount?
This is to allow students to take these courses on our campuses for free. So we pay $50 per student per course to Rock Valley in order to run these courses.
So they will be taking it on the campus of Rock Valley?
Yes.
Okay.
So this allows students to, what? Oh, our campus, sorry. Yes, on our campuses. I'm sorry, our high school campuses. Okay. So as an alternative to running START, which is full on-campus dual credit, this allows students to take some dual credit courses on our high school campuses during their regularly scheduled course in a day and earn those credits if they pass with a C or higher. They get college credit.
Okay. And so when they're eligible to do the AP, the placement, so they can get the credit, is there any cost that's associated with that or no?
So currently we don't charge students for AP, but AP is different than dual credit. So in the case of dual credit, if a student passes with a C or higher, they're automatically given the credit, which is portable to most universities and two-year institutions. With AP, if they pass the test and earn a score, that score may or may not get the student credit depending on what the score is and what score the college accepts. So some colleges require a 5 on the test in order to give the student credit. Some require a 3, depending on the content, depending on the college. So while AP credit is extremely beneficial, I would argue that dual credit is almost more so because students are guaranteed that college credit if they pass the class.
Okay. Thank you.
Sure.
We'll call the roll on the approval of item 6M.
Ms. Mohammed,
Yes.
Mr. Siegel,
Yes.
Mr. Connor,
Yes.
Ms. Stanford,
Yes.
Ms. Pearson.
Yes.
The motion passes with 5 yeses, 2 absent.
I'd like to just take a moment and congratulate Lee Marks' family. The track will now be named the Lee Marks Memorial Track. Yes.
Overcome with chills. I'm just so appreciative for everyone's consideration to make this happen. When Lee graduated in 1966, he actually went to school out in South Dakota. That's where I'm from, too. And he was given opportunities to go to other school districts. Minneapolis wanted him, Sioux Falls wanted him, but his desire was to come back to Rockford. Little did I know that I would be standing here, ever so grateful for your kindness and understanding, because when Lee was hired, he was a healthy athlete. For 20 years, Lee was stricken with sarcoidosis and was hooked up to oxygen for the last 10 years of his coaching experience. Did that stop Lee Marks from being out there? Absolutely not. Greg, that is the coach now, was once a student of Lee's, and then he became his assistant. And now he is the head coach. So it's just a real pleasure to pass the baton, yes, I know about track, on to Greg. Anthony, yes, Lee was a good friend of Dan Salvi. Lee was actually a East High relays, the person that's in the relays as a grand marshal, that's it. And it's a real unity between the two schools. Yes, it says Swanson Stadium, but boy, I tell you, once a Viking, always a Viking. I thank you, thank you, thank you.
Thank you. We're now at the closed session consent agenda, including the appointment of Tiffany Brunson as 12-month Chief Diversity, Equity, and Inclusion Officer, the appointment of Tammy Shippert as 12-month Executive Principal of Adaptive Learning, the HR Organizational Report and Addendum. Is there a motion and a second to approve the closed session consent items?
So moved.
Second.
Are there any closed session consent items that board members wish to have pulled for separate consideration? Seeing none, I'll have the coordinator call the roll.
Mr. Siegel?
Yes.
Mr. Connor?
Yes.
Ms. Stanford?
Yes.
Ms. Pearson?
Yes.
Ms. Mohammed?
Yes.
The motion passes with 5 yeses, 2 absent.
We're now at the board member action steps. Does anyone have anything? No further comments or agenda items. I'll take a motion and a second to adjourn.
So moved.
Second.
All those in favor say aye.